Hey guys, JT Plays here. I'd love to stay in chat with Harmonia more, but I have to go down the stupid ladder. Big Sis was always so uptight. She'd be bugging out if she saw the state of my threads. Though she was as so perfect, but you and I and the girls that used her skin cream know that ain't exactly true, yeah? Didn't you read that about that somewhere? See, I told you she's the lesser evil of all the sisters. Man, why can't you just join us? Join us, man. Anyway, Vanity Room. Kelly H is the password. That's the woman that was interviewed. That Vincent did an interview with. And we get to hear from the girl herself. Alongside these other girls. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm not gonna like these. So, why don't we go ahead and hear from her first?
Before you meet with dreaded mother, sit with me, dear unknown other. Nice, is it not? A doll like me lives in only the finest places. Beauty held in the mind of a worm that reduces meals to bare-boned sacks of skin and hollow-boned structures. That is the privilege of being a worm. Look upon my works, my muses, my darlings, my finest creations, meant to be the girls of tomorrow. Yet falling so short, never doing anything with what I gave them. Isn't it appalling? Such a shame. I do not blame you if you cannot bear to look. They are embarrassing to perceive. Skincare felt like such a natural route to go. Another poison. Similar sweet-faced lies that have our followers stripping their skin in an attempt to belong. To be wanted. To feel that hard. Where did I go so wrong with you humans? It's as if you never truly know what you want, and even when you do, the ability to define it flutters ever out of reach. Such frustrating creatures to deal with. Dreadful even. All those nights groaning to wailing sculptures of fatty flesh and convincing them not to end it all. Tolerating the babbling worries of prune-faced teenagers, convinced they could ever change their form into something able to be loved. All those old hags I kicked out the door, kicking and crushing and breaking their fingers to get them to let go of my door. All that just to be forgotten. Unfair, if you ask me. Where has gratitude gone for these generations to look at me so unkindly? I made your parents beautiful, made your idols unattainable, gave you something to hope for. Isn't that all you humans need? Something to reach up towards, to grab at something out of reach. The most basic human gesture, instinctually enacted by squawking, maggot-faced infants, is to reach up at what they desire. What's a little skim cream gone sour? All that fuss for something natural to progress. Unfortunate. Maybe natural to recoil from a true sign of divinity, but to throw it all away and forsake the truth? Failures. It's not my fault you all couldn't grasp it. It was never meant to be held. I thought that was the agreement. You reach up at the stars, me, and I look down, ever distant. It reminds me of the story of that fool staring into the water. Although he was of the beautiful race, the chosen people. You all can stare into the water, scrying for details, letting your bodies turn all loose and hollow for her to live inside. Yet you'll never truly know her. You'll never truly know me. You can never hope to be anything close to me. The closest you can do is observe, wilt, and die. What a disappointing race. I shudder at the thought of ever considering you worthy of my teachings. Of course, that was more of a naive time. A time when I thought I understood what humans wanted. I'll never understand you.
And fun fact, the voice of our friend here, Miss Beauty, is April Kingrose, who's one of the voices of the slasher. And I really like the job she did on Helena Troy. But to answer your question, Miss Helena Troy, on what I want, I just wanna play my Nintendo Switch. Play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on my Nintendo Switch. Listen to Panic at the Disco and Fallout Boy while I'm playing Mario Kart 8 on my Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I'm not hitting the high notes today, folks, and neither is she, allegedly. Become your truest self. Unlock your inner beauty. Brought to you by Troy Beauty and Helena Troy, the prettiest friend of every girl and gal. Charm School for Girls, 10-week course. Troy Beauty Charm. The Troy Beauty Charm School for Girls helps teenagers build confidence and self-esteem. A special place to help girls become truly beautiful inside and out and blossom into charming, well-respected women. Course includes expert instructions on maintaining diets, skin and makeup, hair care, socializing, finding and flattering wardrobe, good manners, posture, and exercise. All girls have the ability to become as beautiful as a model, overcome temporary obstacles and bad habits. When a girl graduates from the Troy Beauty Charm School for Girls, she can say goodbye for good to bad skin, flabby arms, and lazy beauty routines. I'm getting bad vibes from this already. Learn how to keep a positive attitude, good friendships, a desirable figure, and become the apple of every man's eye. All while having holes all across your body. Triphobia is in. At the end of the course, girls will have the chance to participate in a fashion show for their families to demonstrate all that they've learned. While also give them triphobia. Many girls who graduate go on to become runaway models in New York and California. Beauty is more than just looks. It's attitude and habits too. The way you talk and move, the way you act towards others, even the way you think. With practice, even the most tomboyish, bespectacled teen can develop and find comfort in the habits of beauty. Again, bad vibes. And this led to. So I'll keep this open, but let me start off with, well, first of all, victims reach settlement in Troy Beauty skincare case. Belltown Detective Agency, so Miss Canary was not wrong about being on Hecate's case. It makes, oh, dang it. Went back accidentally, but that would explain what she was doing in Twinville because of the roller rink too. So Canary is on the case. I love it. Early bird, green trails of bent joint amidshids like elbows twisting off into the night, chasing after an internal white spark in the distance, which drives itself into being through remorseful this concation of misery and pain towards the one outside the realm of influence, using the weapons formed from the bodies within her scope of control. The yellow keyboard smile is ever present in pursuit of the truth, no matter how harmful. Keeping pace against her old enemy, once an old friend. However, briefly before self-identity and perception was gained, and the two went their separate ways. Busting unions was all well and good for a faceless and confused attack hound representing a concept as twisted, abstract, and admirable as justice. Yet in the stories testified before courtrooms of friends and families maimed, the public shift in perception changed the form of a vague mascot now used in anti-smoking propaganda from the arms of justice once aligning themselves with cigarettes, though they still serve the same violent brutality. In their actions of creating PSAs and editorial cartoons sponsored by a bell that singly rang for justice, the brown-headed canary found the opportunity to detach herself from her creator's true purpose and wandered and know this world and the many people within it. So this is sort of like Miss Canary's backstory. All right, I'm liking this. To redefine herself as the idea of a detective that in real life does not exist. Through her heart had softened though her heart had softened through this experience of knowing others outside the hazy gaze of judgment and authoritarianism, her luminous eyes never quite lost the chasing gaze which compelled her to reach inside her pursued victims and pull out the neat kernel of truth concealed within the skin and fabric. There was, along those folding, buckling, unnaturally contorting legs, a curiosity on history spinning down to shoes at the end which in themselves drove the detective towards the never-ending end of history. If not to see how it might finish itself, then to assure it was a place in which the humans she so represented and loved might be happy and free. A recurring sentiment from her days as a PSA mouthpiece, which had grown into an contracting desire to most protect the most at all costs, despite the time taken across years, decades to centuries, to track down her quarrel. Encountering in the beauty department of pharmacies and album record stores, and even the aisles of shelves of toy warehouses, this chase between the canary that always watches and the worm which always runs away is one that cycles over itself like a recorded VHS continuing to play static nothing in the form of history dates which ultimately might run and chase beyond the scope of the calendar. It contains them until they fall off the calendar and the yellow gloved hand like a beak snaps into the ground that is culture and iconic free and pulls up the screaming, squealing, bloody worm to the open air to scrutinize reckoning. To know if one day the worm will be captured and placed within the grasp of those who hate her is yet too early to say. There are many more years of history, and America is only 250 years old. If it was, and likely will, vanish within the face of the night, the worm and the detective would find new lands, new countries, new people through which to chase each other across. Yet, as of now, within the blink of an eye, they too could vanish with the relatively young project known as the USA, and history would roll onwards, ever changing. To ask Canary, Miss Canary, when her work began or ended, what the majority stopping points of her cases were, might provoke an irrational and obscure answer. For Canary saw history not as a series of moments defined around great men, but the constant uphill struggle and tolling of humans and their communities. In this case, however, history was encountered in the form of a skin cream so poorly made, or perhaps so intentionally made, that it burrowed and teethed away at the skin of the many children and factory workers of the world. A device through which the worm imagined a plastic future might be implied in calling into being to inhabit the plastic shell of a new world. Halted through the factory's interventions, yes. As a detective of the world, Canary was uniquely blessed with the understanding of these things compared to her other inhabiting peers. Yet the importance in this case was, through her old sensible employer might have intervened in her strange and unknown ways, pulling prematurely the worm from its most many murmurous or wombs. The gumshoe took upon itself the role of afterwards and cleaning and on the ground response, chasing down the remnants of her loath entity, the only individual she has ever hated, and exposing them to the sun. So that's interesting, and it also seems to hint that she definitely parted ways from not just Belltown, but also I guess Beatrice as well. I'll admit I haven't read any of these yet, but I am now. This is my first time. The garment nest. In the strands of threads and hairs it dwells, with arms and teeth barking out orders and dragging its workers from table to table. If one was to listen through the frantic grasp of faceless workers, abstract self porcelain slayed machines, and chattering, rumbling infrastructure, they would hear the song of the garment district, the song which cannot be seen any more than any sound, slip in and through the pipes and machinery belts, swaying its highs and lows with a sultry tone, tempting the most craven and ethicless of businessmen. To the one who craves things like plastic, vinyl, cloth, purses, and button-eyed toys, this is something special, something wonderful. A miracle sounded from a sorrowless identity that, if not questioned, is deemed unimportant. One shouldn't interrogate the origins of device acts after all. There are hymns and tones surging within this song, belting and coasting along waves of crossettes, leather purses, and substances of which the effects of handling are not yet understood in the scope of their symptoms' severity. But as mentioned, miracles of cheap labor are not to be understood. They are to live in the present, not thinking of a future which she strives to prevent anyways. Consequences, change, impact of the present's actions, to both her and the great men that dance along her heels is nothing more than a fairy tale land, yet is very much real. The song swoons itself upwards, through bricks and steel pipes into smoggy air, reaching farther than any worker's voice into the sky, and it is here that it joins hands, notes, hues with the smoke from every forsaken sweatshop of the world. From New York to China to Vietnam, to name every corner of the world from which these siren cries their mating calls would be too many, for they are everywhere. An invasive species of the modern age recycling old class struggles for the creation of the plastic world, a world in which the dread future nest, a future of plastic cram-packed vinyl landfills that might form a kingdom of the new. The great dreamer of the now, who wished not to conceive a future beyond abstract ideas of grandness and gold, the landfills born of their cruelty are the only future worth seeing. In the landfills, the song sells and crows, sinking fetal veins into the ramshack earth. It hopes to make the only earth that ever was. There are musical albums, plastic combs, skin decaying arclic charms, and ever decaying dolls created for a character forgotten within a month at best. These are her most cherished children, for they are many, and do not say anything, as all good children should. The landfills, too, do not question where in the line of production it might sit. So, say, to its own mind, it is the final state of being, the end, completion, and as such, it must be inherently good. It might even consider itself an artist, though it has created not a single thing which sits in its kingdom. Oh, it might sketch or dream or vaguely commission the product received unto itself, but it does not sew the cloth or stitch the needle. Yet in a way, the landfill and the faceless workers share identity, unseen state of an unthought about system, the the conveniently missed aspect of the past, present, and future. One day, the workers of the the landfill will wake the country from its great dream, and it shall be devoured by hands of or plastic charms. I wonder what kind of world that would be. And we have this. Have the pledge here to my future husband, who owns my heart. I make this pledge of beauty to keep my lovely schoolgirl complexion, That's very problematic. To groom my hair the correct direction, to trim my nails and not chip them, to paint my lips that kiss them, to fit my figure within his hands, to speak with a voice soft as a lamb. This is very oof. And it's just odd to me because it's like I'm surprised Hecate would be okay with this, with women being like this, but yeah, I'm confused at this woman's actions here. So, what about the charm school? To ask how one like Connie could not see the truth of the industry around her would be trite, for she had always seen it, always lived amongst it, always accepted it, much as many like her had throughout history. To place the entire onus of blame upon her would be incorrect, a malicious assumption, and missing the thought line of the way in which these things might work. All this is to say, when Connie visited the charm school, it was not so much her eyes being open to the reality of it all as much as the world in front of her now seemingly repellent and abominable. A shift in how much she was willing to look away and what she would do to migrate what she was being used to facilitate. All in the eyes of a girl who looked at her with a sort of expression she could not name, in the way that she caught glimpses of wrists held too tightly, bruises, the frail bodies threatening to snap at the lightest breeze, and in the admiring eyes of her peers as they explained to these young women how they could become just like her, a thing like a worm, with a delicate smile and unintentionally cruel lips, beamed out of her face, drinking in the young girl's devotion. Has the coiling of the worm ever felt so noticeable before now? She thought as it never felt stickier to her as it does now, making her stomach turn with repulsion as something that cannot be removed by a surgeon's tool or scalpel blade. These girls, she's told, are going to be something special, something wonderful. And that is your cue to do something called getting out of there and running. The night little pale faces greet her dream. That night little pale faces greet her dreams. With hair like powder brushes and skin set with vanity mirrors, they surround her, clamoring to know how they can be like her, how they can alter themselves further in the pursuit of the American ideal. She opens her mouth to tell them away, but only red ribbons escape her throat. The cords spew upon like inchworms on thread, spinning and twirling in isolated motion. Before each of the children, girls of all ages, younger than a woman, chase along after them. Even slightly above their eager hands, the threads jitter playfully, like the lure on a fishhook. Look on the young woman girl's wrist, hands, skin inserting themselves between pores and faucets, latching gently to every inner surface of the skin before, with the ease and grace of a puppeteer. The red threads jerk away, bringing with them the skin, hair, identity, memories, everything of these young girls in separate pieces that dangle desperately from each other. Brain attempting to save itself, the thought of a wooden toy snake is conjured, and though she laughs, she soon begins to cry. The children look so happy, dangling along in pieces along the path enriched out for them. When they speak, even as they are pulled away, each tooth moving separately along the red line, the sound is a mix of exhilaration and overly aware dread. She is thanked, she is beckoned to come with, she is asked to be something special, something wonderful. Whatever lies within her, that smile out from that smiles out from her lips when she visits the charm school. It fills her body with a feeling of smug satisfaction, not from her mind, but from the parasite itself. It too thinks that this is special and wonderful. I can sense your doubts about this path, so I wanted to show you what kind of world you might make real if you keep fulfilling your role. Know what you are doing is truly something special, something wonderful. She did not wake up screaming, nor crying, nor in a frantic state. She goes about her morning's routine fluttering around the house, pushing the nightmare to the back of her memories. It is only when she notices the tufts of hair, red ribbon, and clothing in the tree branches outside her window that she screams. Hecate, I'm on my hands and knees. Stop this sucker and succotash already. This is getting. Oh, whew. This is in the Hebe BB article. Can we go back to seeing Harmonia, please? I actually feel safe around her. The ones involved. In this decade of bee and worm, so too were the everyday women caught within products ver, vanilcity, virtualinate groups. Girls as young as 5 awaken to find their arms birthing the world of the new in the form of that dreadful dressed corpse, who only ever strives to burrow upwards, though perhaps to focus on only the most clamorous, known, or newsworthy of these harms would be to play into the waiting hands of a country that with those fists beat their chest about killing the abstract molester and rapist, yet through its everyday function, with the same grooms and breaks the children within their care. That is to say that before and after the disastrous event of the skin devouring, red beckoning, cream and several other parasites had long infested the people who call the world their home. Among many girls, Aubrey one day found herself with a lump in her chest that spread along her body, accelerating along pretentious lines carved there by an inexpensive face powder brought as a child long ago. I have a really bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling. I am scared. Oh Lord. With Teresa, her hair slowly drifted from dead pores, crawling their way to earth like discarded worms. From a weight reduction pill she'd twice taken as a teenager. That bad feeling is not going away, bros. And gals. And they-thems. With Wendy, nails began to twist painfully, removing themselves with pulsating, painful motion from her fingers as the digits swelled beneath a curse laid by the Witch of Beauty with her all-natural hairspray, used for every year until the company supplying it went bankrupt. With just her child's complexion pale and paled until lips turned blue and an irreversible, shivering tremor stole the young girl's breath away. All throughout this denial, friendly typographs, reassurance of health benefits, and extensive testing procedures. Things were under control, they claimed, and yes, things were in fact under control, but not to the client's benefit. In this way, we might see the successor continuing her mother's wrecked work, bathing in iconography of people swimming within the products of the future, rejoicing in smiling family photos surrounded by what was, and is killing them. To see and know these things, to see the scope of industry might, as we've discussed before, drive any good woman insane. A truth too horrible to bear, and it is with this in mind that we might be inclined to laud the actions of the many workers who testified throughout history, their collective efforts combining to stop the poisoning of their communities. Unfortunately, there was never the same reckoning for beauty as there was with cigarettes, and so history flows onwards, summoning more bodies amongst the plastic debris beneath its mass. A worm, after all, exists to shovel dirt into its mouth and excrete it out the other side. I'm going to
We left things on a bad note, didn't we? And don't worry, I'm not mad. You just couldn't see. Not like I can now.
We left things on a bad note, but I'm not mad. Well, I am. Fuck Helena Troy. Fuck that cow mascot. Fuck Hanos. You're cool, Harmonia. And fuck Hecate. Is that what you wanted to hear, Ian? Is that what you wanted to hear? Guys, I'm sorry. This update is breaking me more than the slasher update. So, before I do anything else that will get me in trouble with YouTube, how about we just end it here? JT Plays signing out. See you guys next time. Peace.